The world may not be dying, but it can certainly feel that way. And if there is any way out of this deep crisis that we're all in, and I believe there is, then that way out, which is also a way in, that way out passes through individuation, which is a psychic process, if you like, a psychological, spiritual, natural process where who you are, or who you thought you were actually, becomes who you truly are. The word mainly comes in modern day from Carl Jung. He wrote profusely about this process. He based a lot of his writings on alchemy. As you probably know, Carl Jung is famous for concepts such as the collective unconscious and stuff like that. He's often derided in popular culture as a sort of new age hack, a sulfurous figure, non-rational. Well, he's not conventionally rational, but he's no hack. And the individuation process is absolutely a real thing. And the main people I am talking to right now, if what I'm about to say is not you, I sure hope you'll stay. You're quite welcome. But the main people I'm talking to right now are people who either are going through the individuation process themselves, or at the very least have a close one who is going through this process. But I'll be mainly talking to you as if you were going through this process. So what it looks like, what it tends to look like, is a series of life crises. Nothing seems to work, and a lot of drama, a lot of strong emotions, a lot of strange phenomenon can happen, weird dreams, weird coincidences, what Jung calls synchronicities, like significant, like full of meaning, strange, deeply resonant, coincidences, and hence where you can't help but tell yourself, no, there's no way that was a coincidence. And if you've had them, you know. And if you haven't had them, there's no good reason for you to believe such a thing exists. So enjoy it while you can. Yes. There's this Buddhist saying about enlightenment, which is kind of linked with individuation. This Buddhist saying about enlightenment, which says, much better never to begin than to begin enlightenment. But once you're in, you can't stop it. So once you're in, much better to finish than to get stuck in the middle. So that's what I'm here for, to help you with that. I'm also going through this process, but I've done, enough for me to feel comfortable sharing what I've learned along the way. So here goes, the three main paradoxes of individuation. Well, first of all, the whole idea is that you had a false you, which was essentially your personality, and you built this just by living in a society, doesn't matter which one. All human beings live in a form or another of society, except in extreme, cases, but even then that's only following, like extreme trauma or accident. I mean, yeah, human beings are a social animal. Like, we live in tribes. And because we are animals and we live in tribes, well, we have, as a consequence of that, we have a personality which allows us to function within the tribe. And this is good. This is a good thing. This is useful. This is directly linked with what we call the ego. Maybe the same thing, may not be the same thing, doesn't matter. Depends how you look at it. It's a technical detail at the end of the day. What matters is that there is a difference between this quote-unquote false self, like this false quote-unquote personality, this ego, if you will, a difference between that and your real self. Now, obviously, by saying that, this implies that there is such a thing as a real self and a real you, and there are plenty of people who will deny it. And there are certain ways in which it is true that there is no real self. But in most ways, unless you're getting very technical and very precise, it is a big mistake to say that there is no such thing as a real self. It's only partly true. And a lot of quote-unquote so-called spiritual teachings, they're like that. It's, it's always true from a certain point of view, to quote Obi-Wan. Always like that. And a lot of damage has been done collectively by this idea, this meme, really, that, there is no real self, which ultimately is true from a certain point of view. But for now, what matters is that there is definitely something like a real you. And the individuation process is what happens when that real you decides that it's time for you to become that, for you to become the real you, for you to stop playing the social role and to be who you actually are. And this is particularly difficult for us in this civilization or culture because we are constantly told that we're individuals and we should be ourselves, and this is encouraged usually, like in quote unquote the West. But we say that, but we don't do it. In fact, becoming yourself, the real self, is extremely painful and extremely dangerous and extremely isolating. And if you're going through that process, you will find out just how much this society really wants you to be yourself. The lengths it will go to prevent you from becoming yourself. Okay. So for now, the three paradoxes. Well, the first is that, the good news is there is a real you. For all intents and purposes, at least as far as we're concerned, for the time being, for the foreseeable future, there is such a thing as a real self. And if you are in the individuation process, or you suspect you might be, then it's your job to become that real self. And there are tricks and tips and all sorts of things that can help. But yeah, the first paradox is that one way of describing the individuation process is the famous alchemical wedding. And the alchemical wedding is symbolically, it represents like the feminine part of you and the masculine part of you, reuniting and forming a single entity. So to keep things short and simple, we will say that this is basically, what this basically means is your conscious and unconscious self kind of merging, and there's a sort of spiritual handshake, and they learn to work with each other and recognize each other. And so yeah, it's like this, it's a wedding between your basic everyday personality and your true nature. Okay, so you're conscious and you're unconscious, you're rational and you're non-rational. So the part of you that sends you dreams and aspirations and hunches and all these things. Okay, but the first paradox is that that whole dream land, that unconscious that is getting in contact with you, well, you access it by accessing what Jung called the collective unconscious, okay, and which is this domain of universal symbols which we all share. And in fact, it goes a lot deeper than that, because this is rife with profound, consequences. But yeah, the first paradox is that you become yourself by, first of all, dying to the person you thought you were, and you do that by accessing the like everything but you. Like you become a true individual by dying to the individual you thought you were, and by accessing the collective dreamland or imaginative land or psychic, non-land, where there is no such thing as individuals. In that space, there is no distinct, no self except the collective self, basically, or maybe the world soul. Okay. So that's the first paradox. You become you by dying to who you are, and by reconciling with the part that is irreconcilable with the the very idea of there being such a thing as a distinct you. You access it by going to the place, the psychic place, where there is no such thing as a you, but yet when you go through that, there you are, as a distinct individual. First paradox. The second paradox is that, so what is the nature of that, what I call the dreamland, which is just a word I picked up from Lovecraft, actually, which is a problematic term, okay, because it's not a real place. It's nothing you can conceive of, really. But yeah, the second paradox is that there is still such a thing as a psychic, realm of images, whatever, this strange, mysterious thing from which these deeper messages from the intuition come. Yes, that thing that sends you dreams. Okay, so that thing is directly linked with your truest essence. And your truest essence, who you are really becoming, well, it exists. I mean, ceremonial magic, which is, again, smells like sulfur and New Age stuff, but which is really a prolongation of the old, like Neoplatonic theurgy. I mean, it's really an old tradition that was designed for that. Okay, to make you contact godhood via, well, in the terms of magic, ceremonial magic, the language they use is the holy guardian angel. And the holy guardian angel is the true self, is the true you, who you are in a way merging with. Okay? And I use that language because I did that, so I know it, because I spent the years doing that. But there are plenty of others, right? So this is not limited to crazy old guys running around in robes, or people like that. Though that's certainly one way of doing it. But yeah, the second paradox is the whole point of individuation is to become yourself, and you are merging with this deeper self. And this deeper self is ultimately the real you. But also at the same time, it is not you. So there's that. And you can't even be sure if it really exists. Though you're interacting with it, but you don't know its true nature. You don't know if it's really distinct or not. You don't know any of these things, and you can never know. Because the only part of you which truly knows the answer to that is that holy guardian angel, that higher self. Okay. So you've merged with it, but the answer to that you can never have. Not in a human body, at least, as far as I know. Because it's the other side of the veil of Isis, right? It's the other side of the mystery. It's that part, like the dark side of the moon, that part we just don't have access to. So yeah, your truest self, which you are becoming, well, you become the true self, you become an individual. But at the same time, the truest expression of that, you have no way of really accessing it. The deepest part of you is only available to you via an intermediary, a psychic intermediary, which is still you, but which is just the public face of your psyche. Maybe very deep, very profound, but maybe very powerful, very numinous, right? But still just not a signifier, but an emissary of that really core, like truly deepest part of you that is linked with, that part of you is linked with the heart of the cosmos or whatever. But you can't directly access it. And only that part really knows if there is such a thing as an individual or not, and how that all works. Like that key to the ultimate mystery, you can never know. And the deepest part of yourself, you will never access. So that's the second paradox. You're the deepest, you're the truest version of yourself, but at the same time, you never can access the deepest part of you. And the third and last paradox, at least for today, and this is one I figured out only recently, like dare I say today, is that yes, individuation is definitely about you becoming you, and that will look in many ways like, what you always wanted it to be. Okay. But it also implies coming to terms with less, perhaps noble parts of you. Yeah, you will become the version of you that you were meant to be, and that is a good thing, and you will recognize it. You will recognize that it is a more unbounded version of you, though still, I mean, not in a monstrous way, but a well-rounded, complex person who will do what you always wanted to do, but were afraid to do, and stuff like that. But ultimately, the third and last paradox is that individuation is not about you. And we think it is, because we're living it, and we're the main characters of our stories, at least it seems that way. And we figure we're important, and we are, and we figure we have something to contribute to the whole, and we do. But none of us is the main character of the world, in a sense. I mean, the paradox is that you're definitely called to be the main character of your life. But, I mean, you should recognize that everybody is the main character of their lives. So, you know, that matters, at least to me, like ethically. I mean, I think that is a consideration. But, and partly for that, but like the world needs us. And I'm pretty sure, like this is a feeling and intuition, okay? But I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going through individuation right now. There certainly were more in the 20th century than there had been for a long time. And I think that's because while we can kind of sense that the world is undergoing a grave crisis, like the planet is undergoing a grave crisis, we kind of brush it away at the same time. You know, oh, the world will move on without us if we all die. Some people say that, or, you know, whatever. But no, we have lost with so much, like contact, you know, lost contact with so much that is important, like in a psychic sense, in a truly spiritual sense, not religious, but something to do with our deep relationship to ourselves and the world and how that works, which is what individuation is a lot about. So we've lost so much of our ability to contact that we are no longer able to perceive that that is the reason why the world seems to be dying right now. And the reason so many of us are undergoing individuation right now is because that's the remedy, that's the healing. And the reason you need to do your individuation work is, yeah, it will make your life better. This is good. Okay, it will make it like hell on earth for a while, but ultimately it's better, much better. But you need to do it because the earth needs you. Like, it's a spiritual duty. Okay, and the entire human race needs everybody who's undergoing individuation right now to do the goddamn work so that we can make it through, because this is a time of deep crisis and we scarcely fathom just how grave the hour is. But we each carry a bit of healing, and by becoming true individuals, we shall be able to bring that healing that only we can bring to the world. And therein lies the urgency of our task, the individuation task. If you want some help with that, I do that. Individuation.melte.org. There's a free consultation, so don't be shy. I will also post more videos on this channel because it's part of the work. Follow your intuitions. That's what they're there for. That's part of that. And life is truly wonderful and truly wondrous, and right now it's catastrophically bad. But yeah, we have a task in front of us, and let us do it, and we'll make it through somehow. Live long and prosper. See you soon. Take care.